Hey Scott, how's it going? Hey Raz. What's up, Hulk? Almost didn't want to stream tonight. It's so damn nice out today, finally. Got shorts on. But, gotta get this stuff done. Damn, you're getting some heat out there, huh? I welcome the heat. I'm sick of having the boiler on all the time. We're almost into June, and I still had the heater on, which was crazy. Hey, what's up, Iceman? Yeah, I sent that alligator file to my friend. He said it was too low, so we're gonna look for something better, but I appreciate the cut though. Yeah, I'm still learning on the files, and I realize it's I guess it's a blank figure, and then they just color it. But we're gonna look for something a little bit better for my client, so figure it out one way or the other. There is a couple other files, but they're like $150 a pop, and we're not going that expensive on it. Hey, raccoon. So all I'm doing right now is I'm trying to trim this stuff up before we mask it. So masking is always a pain in the ass if you don't have a guide. But at least the figure is almost done. Hey Raphael, hanging in there, just trying to get work done. Jordy, I don't know what you said. Okay, it's called Polystone. It's a Sideshow collectible statue. So it's resin mixed with stone powder. It's pretty heavy. Thanks, man. Just getting there. I got some touch-ups to do here and there. I'll probably do those after I finish up the armor off camera. So I think if I can get Wonder Woman ready by next stream, I could start painting up her, painting up something on her, whether it's the armor or her skin. Gotta just blend out some of the pink underneath the hand there. And then I got some touch-ups here and there. It should probably be pretty much done after that. I just got to get the elements for the base printed out, and then we can get onto the base after I get those in. It's going to be a little while. (1/6) scale figures? What, like toys or statues? It's a big market for them. There's a lot of people who love the 1/6 scale Hot Toys. There's also people who love Marvel Legends figures. There's people who customize them too. I used to be into those before I got into statues, like back in college. I was collecting all the Spawn stuff. And then once I discovered Bowen Designs 1/6 scale statues, I moved on from the action figures onto statues. So pretty much everything there's a market for. 1/6, 1/4, 1/8, 1/7, Funko Pops, everything. So it all depends on what item you're into and what community you're part of. I'm just not a fan of the action figures anymore. I mean, they are detailed, but 1/4 scale is kind of my sweet spot. That's kind of what I like on statues. They're big, but they're not too big. And you could fit them in a a case and see them far away. Oh shoot, forgot about this. Although I see a lot of people customize action figures, but the problem is I don't know the long term to it. You know, like, do you customize it and not bend it, or is it posable? Do you bend the paint? You know, like, that's why I never mess with action figures, because I know the paints I use would just scrape off if you start bending the character. So I don't know if they use special paints or not, or if they glue all the hinges together. It's kind of not my, so it's not my thing. I don't really know. I've had people ask me, but I always turn it down. It's not really flexible, it's just plastic. I mean, well, it's just a softer plastic. I use Vallejo Mecha, and that stuff actually does scrape on these statues. So, the Mecha paint is not as strong as I would want it to be. It's still latex paint. I mean, acrylic paint, I mean. Hey, the customizer. I'm doing pretty good. How you doing? Just plugging away on more stuff. Yeah, it's a different hobby. I know you got the Hot Toys who mix and match parts and they make their own Hot Toy figure. There's those, what are they, Fishin or Fishun figures that they're like blank male and female bodies that you can buy outfits for. There's a couple different items out there. Too bad some of them weren't in 1/4 scale. I could use some of the parts for these statues. That's alright. Well, I know a lot of the people who make the clothes make good money on it because it's hard to find seamstress out there or people that know how to sew. And people that do know how to sew don't want to be bothered with this little stuff. I've tried many fabric stores and places and nobody either wants to or knows how to. At least around here. That's why I'm sure whoever works for Sideshow probably makes some good money because it's a dying skill. It's kind of crazy. I'm sure if in Japan or in China, if I went to one of these factories, you could probably find people all over the streets that would know how to sew a cape in like 5 seconds. But here, nobody wants to do this stuff anymore. I even tried asking cosplay girls at like New York Comic Con a while back. And half of them, I think, even said that they don't even make their outfits. So, it's hard. Seamstress and it's just, or tailors, it's just, I don't know. It's probably why wedding dresses are so damn expensive and stuff. This is what sucks. It's gonna take me all this time masking it, and I'll spray it in like 3 seconds. But I want it to look good. Yeah, everything's gold on her. Should probably put up the picture, right? Is this it? Yeah. Except the boots, we didn't do gold. We did like a suede boot. Make them look a little bit different. But I gave her bracers though, even though she doesn't have any in the picture, just for fun. Hey Felipe, how you doing? That's good, Raz. How long did that take? Ooh, I'm supposed to do that. I do it too though, so. Some days you just can't work on an item for various reasons. Well, it's always good when you got a client who doesn't mind waiting. Those are the best kind. Hey Chris, no, I don't do washes. I usually just keep spraying layer and layer and layer, and I seal it, and then I touch up. So I don't do layers. So you'll actually see washes. You'll see like some of my colors in certain areas on it. I like to paint that way. Some people love to do washes. I'm not really into it. I like just spraying with the airbrush and just keep layering and spraying, misting, and just kind of create shades and colors. It's just a preference in the way I paint. That's the problem I've always had with washes. You have to really do like a lot of washing on it. But I find that you need to know your paints too, because certain brands of paints won't allow you to do washes on them. They'll muddy up and they'll bleed. And if you use like garage kit flesh tones, like sometimes I use, it'll absorb the color so much in areas. So I'm not really into washes. And then some people do good washes with like oil-based washing. Some So it's not really my thing, so I can't really give you much advice of what's going wrong, because I've never had a good experience with washes on stuff. You just got to know your blends of paints and know how to do it, I guess. I mean, there's no real right way or wrong way to paint. It all depends on how you like to paint and if it looks good, but you'll get some guys in this hobby who are like, well, if you don't wash or you don't use pastels, you don't know what you're doing, you know? So if you find that washes are not really working for you, try something else. Pastel shading, I just use airbrush to shade. There is certain companies that actually make washes, but like I said, like if you say you paint an item in like a really glossy, smooth paint, the wash is not really going to allow you to wash into the paint and soak into it. So that's kind of just my experience. And I guess the other thing you got to be careful too is some paints, if you overwash and you don't let it dry, you'll start ripping up the paint. I guess the best thing that I could say is like go on YouTube or find somebody that knows how to do it really well and watch their videos. But if I'm doing like a scenery, like rocks or dirt, that's when I'll use like a lot of watered down paints and let the paint go into cracks and crevices and you know, into the little nooks and crannies of the rocks or the landscape. But for skin tone, I'm not really a fan, or the outfit's doing that too much. I mean, if you look at my skin, you know, hopefully in the picture, you could kind of see I have certain colors in like the knees and areas. So I keep blending and I kind of create those little dark areas and stuff just with the airbrush. But that's kind of how I paint. It's kind of what I'm used to doing. You know, some people want to go super ultra realistic, where they'll want to create all like, you know, washes and little freckles and stuff like that. I like to go more comic book style. All preference. I don't know, of course, if you're still in chat, hopefully that helped. Like I said, I'm not really into that too much. Yeah, no problem. You know, I've seen people who like do pastel shading and that's all they use. Other people do the washes. I've seen people just use an airbrush. I think like the statue world is almost like the comic book world. You know, some artists you can tell from other artists. But in the statue world, some people just get pissed off if you're not doing it their way. It's weird. Yeah, masking sucks. But I've come to the point that it's got to be done. It's got to be done. If you want it to look clean, you got to take your time masking. You know what? I'm just going to use all Silly Putty up top. Might as well. Sometimes getting the saran wrap over an item's not going to work. Hulk Smash, actually, the bigger the item, it's really not that bad. Sometimes the bigger the item is actually easier than the smaller item, like, you know. So, alright, see how I had to mask all that off there, and I had to mask that off? That's actually not that bad, but now imagine if your item is this big, and you have to mask off that little tiny little bracelet. That's more of a pain in the ass than a larger item. At least to me. So I rather paint larger than smaller. That's why you don't see me do many 1/7 or 1/8 items. I've had many people in the past ask me, but I'm like, nah, it's not my thing. So like I said, this 1/4 scale is the sweet spot. 1/3 is, but if you go above 1/3, you get into a half scale or a real life scale, then that's a different, that's just, you need different tools for that. And that's just bigger, just bulky shit. There's a lot of 1/3s out there. You know, Pop Culture Shock did a lot of the, did Cammy, Chun-Li 1/3. They did they're doing the Mortal Kombat girls. They did some of the old, Scorpion and, those 1/3 scale. So there's a lot of 1/3s out there you might not realize. And then, all of Prime 1 stuff is 1/3 pretty much, or friggin' more. Yeah, Hulk Smash, I don't think you're getting that from Sideshow. Sideshow is rehashing everything over again, so another Psylocke, another Captain Marvel, they're probably going to do another Emma Frost, they'll do another Magneto, you know, they're just going to keep rehashing, so you're not going to get any of those characters. Plus, I don't even think they use those characters in comic books anymore now either, so I think if you really want a Giant Man, you're going to probably have to find somebody that does it for you or print out a kit or something. I was hoping Prime 1 would do a Power Girl because the rumor they were going to show it off at that last event. But all they showed off was like 30 Batmans and all these other items, so... You should probably keep, if Hulk Smash, if he is one of your Grail characters, you should try to get into those Facebook groups. I'm pretty sure sooner or later someone will do one of those and you'll have to jump on the pre-order. Yeah, Raccoon, I saw that last night. I was laughing my ass off because I said at this point, I don't know what they're doing over at DC. I don't think it's anything about superheroes anymore. I think it's all political shit now. I think that's all DC is. But I heard that that new CEO from Discovery from DC is like cleaning house. That's the rumor. So hopefully they're gonna start getting rid of all these people who don't know how to write these characters or comic books anymore. Like, do they even have Justice League or JSA comics anymore from DC? Because all I heard, it was just Batman books. I don't even think they write any other characters anymore. Although I have noticed a lot of the older DC books on eBay are skyrocketing. You know, like from the 90s and 80s. I guess people are realizing that DC is on its way out the door. So maybe the older stuff is going to be like kind of grails for people because you're not going to see that stuff ever again. I know I've been trying to finish up some Power Girl books lately. Like, whatchamacallit, I'll grab them. So I don't know if you guys know of that application. It's called Whatnot. It's like a live auction. So I've been actually going on there lately, and I found one guy. He was selling all these. These are like, I got these for like $2 a pop. So I wanted to get some older JSA books to kind of finish up this Justice Society and stuff. You know, All-Star Comics. So I've been just trying to grab some of these older stuff while I can. Because I've been clearing out a lot of my comics. I'm just trying to get like Grail stuff. But yeah, just some older stuff back when comic books were fun, you know. I got a couple more that I got. These are kind of banged up. These are just more or less for reading. But I got some older ones I found on eBay that are like in really great condition. I'm actually gonna send them in to get pressed and graded. But I'll probably do it later in the year. For right now, I'm just kind of going through some older stuff. Yeah, I like some of the older comics, the covers and stuff, you know. Now, I don't know what they're doing anymore. Some of the newer stuff is really good. I've been actually collecting a lot of Adam Hughes books too, his covers. Just trying to streamline the collection. I want to get rid of all my long boxes, and I'm just collecting like graded key books and covers I like, and I'm going to have those on display once I finish up my display room. So I'm having fun, and I'm getting rid of a lot of stuff. I've been selling stuff on eBay. Just trying to really cut down the collection. You know, like stuff like these books here. Like, I love the covers, but I don't really care. They're not really worth a lot of money. So I sent those into PGX. You know, and then I got my X-Man book over here. So yeah, I've just been kind of doing stuff like that lately. Yeah, I'm with you, Raccoon. I mean, I like the old comics. I like the action stuff. I like the characters on there. Now a lot of the books now are just like art covers. It has nothing to do with the book, which I love the covers, but I won't buy the book to read it though, because God knows what the stories are about. You know, stories are probably, well, like what you said. It's all PC stuff now. It's not about heroes and villains, so. But I've noticed a lot of the older books are going up. They're starting to creep up in price. Even for just raw copies, they're starting to go up. Even I went to the comic book store and I was going through the older bins, and a lot of the older stuff went up in price, and they don't have as much as they used to. But they have tons of all the recent stuff, and it's just not selling. So, I don't know what's going on. I don't know what they're planning, but whatever it is, it's not working. Alright, so this is pale gold from Owlclad. I love this stuff. I'm going to use this to paint up all the gold, but I want to just buff some areas out a little bit. Just double checking, make sure I didn't miss anything. Alright, looking pretty good. Alright, so this is my HPCS. It's an Eclipse from Iowa. I use this for all my alclads and lacquers because it likes to clog up my brushes. Let's see. One little spot I gotta just fill. Is that what they did, Quan? I heard about this Dark Crisis, and you know, I always liked the Crisis on Infinite Earths. I liked the Last Crisis and stuff. But did they just kill off all the characters? Did they just say, screw it, we're done with all the old characters? Like I said, I've given up on DC. I don't know who they're hiring. I don't know what they're doing, but it's pretty much over. Alright, so with this stuff, you don't have to overspray like layers like crazy. You just spray it nice and light, let it build up. Otherwise, it might bleed under your masking. Gonna lower the pressure a bit. Just need to be that high. There we go. Now you gotta make sure you get everything with this because you can't really use a paintbrush with this stuff. Maybe little tiny areas, but if you miss like a spot here and you gotta go back over it, it's not gonna work. But we're gonna kind of weather it a little bit too. I don't want it to be perfect. So let's spray that out. Now I have a habit of knocking these over because they're so high. So always put these away from you, because if you have it on your table and you're not careful, your hose will knock it over. So I have a habit of doing that. But let's grab, so this is Warlock Bronze from Citadel. It's kind of like a bronze metallic, dark in there. You gotta mix it up, so let me mix it up. It's a good color for like rust almost. What we're going to do is we're going to put some water in the cup. The Citadel is fairly thick. We'll need a hell of a lot. Dark rings around the eyes. You can use an airbrush or you can use pastels like women's makeup. It all depends on the look you're going for. It's kind of hard to give you an idea unless I know what you're trying to do. So when you spray this on, it sort of kind of bleeds a little bit. It starts to kind of bleed up because of the water, and it gives it like a kind of cool effect, like it's kind of weathered. So we're gonna try to do that around the edges. If it's watery like what I did, it does it. If it's not watery, it doesn't really do it. I'll show you guys in a second. So you can kind of wipe it away, which is kind of cool. Like I said, I want them to be a little bit weathered and older and not super clean. So let's see if we can get in a little closer and show you. Okay, camera's old. So you kind of see a little bit of what I'm trying to do there. It's kind of... give it some marks on it so it's not super clean. Yeah, Quan, I don't, like I said, I've given up on DC. I don't care to read anything new or know what's going on. Plus, a lot of the old writers have moved on or they've passed on, so I just think those old DC days are done unless this new Discovery guy actually cleans house. But we'll see what happens. You know, I don't... Got the old stories. So let's show you what I'm going for on the, hopefully the camera doesn't flip out on us. So you can kind of see I want it to be dirty and spotty. So it's kind of more of an aged metal. Raccoon, it was bound to happen. I mean, every other character is focused on gender, PC. It's not about superheroes anymore. It's not about villains. Those days are gone for comics. But Jae Young Lee, he's did that. I said it in the last stream. He's doing that Kickstarter. He's up to like $84,000 on it. That just goes to show you that people want, you know, they want to get away from this crap. Shit, I forgot to spray the earrings. So I did it up there as well, just to make it look dirty. You can kind of see how it's spotty. I kind of wanted to go more that route with it. I think that looks kind of cool. We'll have to let it dry up before I seal it. But it's just a matter of like splattering it on there and sort of letting the water kind of... Alright, I gotta do the earrings. Forgot to do those. let's go back to our I went ahead and already glued in the little pieces there because the back of it's too shiny, so you want to at least match the gold. So we'll let that stuff dry. Gonna hit it with a hair dryer too real quick. Yeah, chrome is good for like really making it shiny, but I like weathered metals. This AK Interactive Steel is an awesome color. It's not chrome, but it's not like shitty metal. This stuff is awesome. I gotta pick up another bottle, except they're like $11 a bottle now. They used to be like $6. Alright, we gotta do some of that to the earring too. Now, I have sealed this before with, you don't really need to seal this stuff, per se. I have sealed it with Duplicolor Perfect Match, but it might react to some of the paint that's there already. So I think we might just leave it as is, but just dry it up. This pale gold, they say that you don't really need to seal it. And I think it should be fine. It's just a matter of letting that wash stuff we did, which is kind of like a wash water stuff, to dry. Otherwise you can wipe it off with your finger if it doesn't really cure. So I think with this stuff, really don't need to seal it because we want it to look old. So let me try to do this with the earrings now. Yeah, so I got a little, probably can't see it that well. It's a little kind of spotty and a little older. So that one went around the edge a little bit at the bottom. Alright, so Aqua Glass gloss works. I do have it, but that will... I probably can put it on, but you gotta let it cure for, it's supposed to let it cure for like, I think they said it takes like, 24 hours? Or like 8 hours or something. You're not supposed to shake the bottle. You don't apply heavy coats. It takes 7 hours to cure. 6 to 7. I could put some on and hit it with a blow dryer and then kind of just peel it off slowly, just to kind of secure it. But there also is Mecha varnish too. I have gloss, but I don't know. Maybe we'll try the Aqua Gloss. Haven't used this in a while. It looks still good. Alright, so if we do the Aqua Gloss, I'll use my CR brush. I don't think I use this for anything too crazy, so make sure it's clean. I gotta clean out my brushes anyway, so I don't mind mixing the... So when I use the Aqua Gloss, what I like to do is actually heat up the item a bit. Only because this aqua stuff sometimes bleeds on you if you're not careful. And this thing gets a little crusty too. And now that I put a layer on it, I like to sort of heat it up, because if I try to pull it off while it's a little tacky, it might rip it up with the masking. Try to pull off the masking now. Alright, so I like it. It's kind of more of an aged metal. It's not super like shiny and perfect. So if you overspray the metal, you might get flaking, especially if you seal it with a heavy sealer. But if you let the flaking at the edges sort of cure over time, you can kind of rub them off. But if you try to rub them off while they're still wet and stuff, you'll run into issues. So there is a little bit of flaking that happens with edging with this, but it's kind of hard to see, so I'll show you here. So you see how there's like a little bit of a flaking, like right there? So that's not on the item, that's off the item. So you just got to kind of let it sort of stay, and then you can wipe it off later. And then when you pull your masking too, at least when I use Silly Putty, pull it this way into itself. See how I'm kind of pulling it into itself? So you see how there's kind of like some major flaking there? Just leave it there alone. Because if it's still wet and you try to flip it off right now, you'll blend it, you'll push it into the other sculpt. I mean, you can break it too if you want to. You can go around the edge and you can sort of start breaking it a little bit. But it's not the end of the world. So if you just go around the edge like that, and then you pull your masking down, it sort of stops it from flaking. It's just really good stuff, but it doesn't like to stick to the Silly Putty. That's what it is. Yeah, you never really want to pull the stuff down and then pull it, like if this has got paint on it and you pull the paint into your skin, try to roll it into the Silly Putty together. But like I said, this little flaking, it's not going to destroy your item. It's just a little flaking and it'll come right off once it cures, and you can just like blow it away. So I'm just kind of pulling this into the Silly Putty. Just kind of like pull it into it. Once it's in your Silly Putty and it's sort of whatchamacallit, dries, it just crumbles up in the Silly Putty. You don't have to worry. Holy crap, I missed a huge spot here, but thank God I didn't overspray. Wow. That's the only thing that sucks with Silly Putty on certain colors. But you can go in there with some of that paint on a paintbrush and clean it up. But it really gums up your paintbrush. Wow, I missed that whole arm there. Thank God I didn't overspray that. Holy shit. It's good to always spray low on this stuff. And the other thing too is be careful with your masking, because we did do a clear coat. So you can actually flake the stuff onto the clear coat if you're not careful, if it's still tacky. So here we're going to pull it upwards. So, tomorrow, whenever I'm ready to get back into this, so I have these, like, you know, these little things you use for eye makeup. So you can actually take it and you could go around the edge and you just start breaking off the flakes. And they just like flake off and you're not worried, and that's pretty much how you do it. At least that's what I do with this stuff. Hey Jacob, I'm doing good. Hopefully you're doing alright. So I always like to kind of try to roll the paint into the eaves just in case. You don't want that fresh paint mixing with any of your other item. Though I do have a fun story today. I was cutting my lawn and my next door neighbor's dog decided to run out of the house and nipped me on the back of my leg while I was cutting the lawn. So I finally got to meet her, and she said her dog does not like men, but she was really pissed off it came onto my property. So I didn't break the skin or anything, but she said she's got to get one of those collars and electric fences. But I was cutting my lawn and all of a sudden I felt a nice little grab on my back of my leg. She was nice, and I'm not going to sit there and be like, oh, I'm calling the police or anything like that. Unless the dog dragged me across the damn parking lot or something, you know. Then it'd be a problem. Alright, so that was a little overspray. So what I did is I kind of licked this with my tongue. And I just took it off. Oh, it's a pit bull, so it wasn't a small dog. But she brought the dog over to me and it introduced it to me and showed the dog I'm not an enemy and all that stuff, so we'll see. Alright, so I got a little bleeding underneath here, so I'll grab one of these. Actually, one of these. Rings around the penguin. I would try women's makeup with some dark paint and slowly build it up. You know? And she's a nice neighbor. They're quiet. No, it's not the end of the world. But like I said, if I was bleeding and I was lost half my leg, that would be a different story. I've been through worse than a little nip on the back. When I used to landscape back in high school, I used to run from dogs sometimes. Alright, so there's a little flaking here and there. So we are semi-dry, so you can kind of go around the edging a little bit, but it's still a little bit wet. So, but you can kind of see sometimes it just flakes away and it just... But I'll do a better job tomorrow. Freddy, it's a base skin tone and then it's a lot of blending. So my skin tones, I do a lot of shading in certain areas and I keep blending. Kind of try to get some of the light off of there. So I don't do washes. Like this side has a little bit of heavy shading. And then I did some more shading here. So I might need to tone a little bit of this down later. But yeah, I did pre-mix a bottle of paint for this. I always mix up paint and I hold on to it while I work on an item till it's done. So I think we're going to do the eyes. I don't think I've done eyes on the stream yet for anyone, so I think we'll do it now. So let me grab my cup. Okay, so let's get this camera back up here. Put it down. Let's move her out of the way. Alright, so her eyes are blue. So I get my trusty... So this is my little cup there. Alright, so... I think I might have done this on a stream before, but we'll do it again. So we have our eye decals, all different sizes for Archer Fine Transfer decals. They're all kinds. So we're going to use their regular eye ones, and then we'll color them up. So you have different scales. What's up, Jose? Thanks, man. Appreciate it. So I think the middle one... Well, actually, the bigger ones might be in scale, actually. Yeah. So what we'll do is, sometimes what I like to do, just to be on the safe side, is I don't always use the brown eyes or these colored ones. So what we'll do is we'll cut out the eye just to see how big it is. Alright, so get our tool here. Just to make sure that this is in scale. That looks fairly big. So let's grab one of the smaller ones. Sometimes I do these good on the first shot and sometimes I don't. Freddy, I'll show you in a second. So this eye is a little bit smaller, but I think that one will work better. So we're going to go with the smaller one. So, to give you guys an idea on how I cut the eye. So, if this is your eye on Archer Transfer, you know, that's your eye. So, what I try to do is I try to lightly score with my X-Acto blade underneath the eye as best as I can. Light score around like that. And then what I do is I cut the eye above here, because, you know, your eye is never really perfectly circled in your eye. It's always kind of above it. And then what I try to do is I try to cut the piece down like this, and I try to cut the piece down like this, and then I cut it here. So this way I can hold this with my tweezers, and I can use my paintbrush and slide the eye off the decal. That's how I sort of been doing these eyes now. So I'm gonna try and show you the best I can. Alright, so make sure you have a nice good X-Acto blade. I changed this morning. So let's kind of... So we're going to be using these blue ones, these here. So I'll make sure I'm not in the way too much. So what I like to do is, depending on where you want the white circle, or if you don't want the ones with the white circle, you can kind of do whatever you want. So we'll use the white circle. So what I'm going to do is not try to drop the X-Acto blade and screw everything up. So we'll do it this way, underneath the eye. So I'm going to score under the eye. I'm not digging into it. I'm just letting the blade cut the very top layer of the decal. Same thing with this one here. And then what I'll do is I'll slice it at the top of the eye. And then what I'll do is on the very edge, cut off just so a little white's showing. Just a little white. And then I'll slice the bottom here. And if you do it right, try not to dig your nails into it too much. At least not on the eye. And then you get your little eye cuts like that. And then you don't need a lot of water. In the beginning I used to put it in a whole tub of water and I can never get the eyes out. So just put them in there and let them sit. So, and then move your eye decal away from the water. Get all your decals away from your water. So let's let that sit for like a few minutes. Alright, Freddie, so let me grab some colors. So, Freddie, I mixed up a bottle of color for this. So this is a bunch of different colors. You know, there's some rind flesh from P3 Formula. I use some semi-transparent from Garage Kits. And then I have transparency pale and bright flesh, because this is a little bit transparent orange, and it's a little transparent red. And that's pretty much all I use. I don't go crazy with like reds, blues, and yellows, and browns. I do use some brown for shading. I do have some of those colors. I try to keep everything more comic book looking, instead of trying to make it super realistic with all the blues and yellows and reds in the skin. So I try to kind of keep like my stuff to these type of colors. Jacob, I saw this She-Hulk trailer. I really don't care for it. I actually have to laugh now that everybody is a fan of She-Hulk. There's cosplay girls doing She-Hulk outfits. There's a bunch of She-Hulk sculpts. I was on Whatnot looking at comic books the other night, and it was all She-Hulk events. Same thing with Moon Knight. Nobody ever really cared about Moon Knight until the comic TV show came out. Now everybody's a fan of Moon Knight. So I gotta laugh about the whole She-Hulk thing. But the animation looked pretty poor though. Alright, so now you don't need a crazy brush. A little bit of water just to kind of give a little moisture to the eye. You don't have to let this drip in wet, you know, like it's friggin' soaking. Just a little bit of moisture on there. And if you're good with your eye decals, you could kind of grab it from the bottom. Before it slides off the paper. Make sure it's not soaking wet. I mean, it might be, make sure you got some moisture on the brush, and then if you can, you sort of slide it over there. Now you gotta kind of work a little fast. If you're very, very careful with your tweezers, you could kind of move it before it starts to set up on you. And you gotta try to line it up too. So we got one eye down. Now the other one, hopefully it doesn't slide off the paper. So put it on your finger, take some of that moisture away. Try to get a good angle to get this onto the eye. It's a little tricky sometimes depending on the head sculpt. Try not to scrape it either. Alright, so we got it on there. And very carefully with your tweezers, you don't jam it in there, you just kind of let it slide. Get it to where you need it. Now if you cut it wrong and it's not lining up with the other eye, you might need to cut it again. But if you know how to squeeze it underneath the eyelid, you can line them up. So kind of got it there. Pebo, they are Archer Fine detail. You know what? I'll post a link for you. So we're gonna let the eyes dry a little bit, just a little bit. You don't want them to over dry, but you don't want them to be soaking wet either. Where is that? Here we go. So they got a lot of different eyeballs. These right here are the AR99003. Hopefully my camera. But they have a lot of different variations of them. Yeah, my camera's not doing it. Anyway, go to the site. They have different sizes, different styles. They are tricky though. You got to get used to it. You know, when I first started doing these eye decals, it took me like 100 tries to start perfecting it. Now, the next step, before you actually like gloss coat them, is this is Solvaset. Now, some people use Solvaset for decals, and they put it in there. I find that if you're not careful with the Solvaset with the eye decals, you could put it in there and it could split it on you. But what the Solvaset does is it kind of gets the air bubbles out and it kind of melts it around the eyeball. So what you want to do is open it up, get a little bit on your paintbrush, but not soaking wet. Like, be careful with your paintbrush. Like right now, even though I dipped it in there, it's still soaking wet. I kind of throw it on my fingernail just to kind of, and then what I do is I like to go very lightly over the eye and sort of squeegee out any air bubbles. Because if you put too much on your eye, what's going to happen is your decal is going to start sliding all over the place. So for the other eye, same thing. Try not to have too much water on there. and try to just dab it in. Try to get any air bubbles out of there. Try to get the eye sticker to, like, you know, really get that bubbles out of there and melt to the eye. And be careful with not sealing your item. I like to do the eyes at the end, because if you got pastels or if you have other stuff you don't seal it, the Solvaset could bleed your color. So be very, very careful. But, so you can see how I did the eyes. Now, with these eye decals, these ARR00, these are kind of just like the generic ones that are just a circle. These are also a guide too. If you want to start to color it in a little bit, after the Solvaset cures up, like I like the way the eyes are now, I really don't need to add anything. But if you want to add a little bit of darker area, like on your eye, like say, so say your eyeball, you know, you want to shade it a little bit more, like up around here, you know. So now you have a circle on your eye, and you have an area where you could go in with your paintbrush and you can darken that area a little bit more now, you know, if you want to. But I find that the decal eyes are better than trying to paint them, because it looks great that way. It just takes practice. Like, I'm actually shocked I got these looking as good as I did right now, so. But these have that little blue dot on them. You know? And if you get used to it too, if you want them looking left or right, you can do that too, if you want to do all that stuff, so. But they have all different kinds. It all depends on what look of the character you want. You know, they got the generic ones, they got these lighter ones, a little bit more realistic. They got the superhero ones. I designed the superhero ones for them, so they got a little bit different style. So it's just a matter of getting used to it. Yeah, Pebo, I do bad with eye painting too. I'm not good. I'd rather just do the decal. Just like a lot of these factory statues you get, they're eye decals, they're not painting them. But sometimes what they do is they kind of shift the eyes and they do it the wrong way. But yeah, so that's the eye decal. Now, I personally like to let this cure up for a while, even though the Solvaset really kind of gives it a nice, like, it melts it. Because, you know, what it is you're putting a paper film on top of something that's bent. But what the Solvaset does is it sort of kind of melts it all over the part, and it kind of just blends to the curve. So that's what the Solvaset does. So I like to seal my eyes at the end. It depends on what you want to do. You can use Tamiya Clear. You can use Mecha Varnish Clear. Some people use nail polish clear. But when you clear your eye, try not to glob the clear into it where it fills up the whole eye socket. You want to do a nice layer over the eye. So I'll show you one way of doing it. So what I'll do is let me hit it with a blow dryer just to kind of do it. I'll show you guys for the stream. Alright, so this is Tamiya Clear. Now, you have to be very, very careful with certain clears. Now, one, Tamiya, if you start going clear and clear and clear, what happens is it starts to dry and cake up on you, and you start ripping out your eye. If you feel you put too much on there. Other clears might bleed on you, and they don't really stay in the area. If you try and use nail polish clear, that stuff is more of like a drop and leave it, but I've seen people who do that and their eye gets flooded with clear gloss and it just looks weird. The only reason you want to put a clear gloss over it is just to seal the eye. So what I like to do is go with my clear, once again, go on my fingernail, make sure I don't have a lot, and just sort of See, that's why I didn't want to do it. But anyway, I pulled up the eye with that clear, so that's a mistake. So that's why you gotta let your stuff clear. So I'm gonna have to do the eye another time again, because that happened. So that's one reason why you don't want to rush your items. You want to really let the stuff set up and cure and go from there. So don't be afraid to do your eyes, let it sit, and come back later in an hour or two or later that night and then clear them up. But since I have the clear out, what I can do is I can clear up the lips. So I glossed up the lips, and she's missing an eye. But I'll put the eye on tomorrow, or later tonight or something. Because I put that Tamiya there on that eye, I'm going to let that cure. I'm not going to try and rush another eye decal on there. So take your time, don't rush stuff, let your stuff dry, and you'll pretty much get it to where you want it. So, yeah. If you feel that this stuff is too strong for you, because this stuff is strong, I would suggest getting Vallejo Mecha Varnish Clear. This stuff won't pull that eye decal, it won't get tacky, but it will gloss it, but it needs to really dry the gloss. But you can't put a lot of this on either, because you don't want it to turn into a zombie eye. So it's just a nice little clear coat over it, let it kind of cure, and you're good to go. But I always do eye decals at the end, because if you do the eye decals first, and then you try to mask off your item to do something here, sometimes the silly putty will actually grab that decal and rip it out. So eye decals for me are the very end of a face. I do them at the very end, and I do not want to mess it up. So now that I know there's no more masking or there's no more touch-ups, the eye decals at the end, period. Yeah, so I pretty much, if I knew that, you know, if I let this dry up, I would use this to seal it. But if you want them a little bit glossier, you can go with the varnish. Now, if you want zombie eyes, like if you want to do a zombie eye, you can do eye decals, and then you can you can use Elmer's glue. So if you take the Elmer's glue and you thin it down a little bit and you put it over the eye decal and let it cure, you can thin it down again and put another layer down it, and what you'll do is you'll start to do a milky white over the eye, and you can actually make them look like zombie eyes. Somebody in Jersey Fest, a guy I know that does a lot of kit building, he told me about this. Kind of a good idea. But it's always good to have lots of eye decals. So you saw how I ripped that up. If you only have one sheet and you keep going through these eyes messing it up, buy a bunch of sheets. It's better to have a stockpile than to not have them at all. Because if you're not careful and you spill water on that, you screw up your decals. And if you're not careful too with handling your sheets, if you're scraping it, or if you're running your fingernail on it, or if you're digging into it, when you go and cut the eye decal, your eyes will split on you and not even know you're doing it. So that's kind of another little thing I've learned too. When I first bought these sheets, I think I went through 5 because I was manhandling them. So you gotta just be gentle. So, I could try the eye one more time. I'm gonna blow dry it, really dry it up. We'll see what happens. So let's try. That's kind of what the streams are about. I've been through worse where I had to fix up stuff I spilled all over, but let's see what we can do. So I'm going to cut this again. Of course, these little pieces get all over the place. So I'm going to cut this with my magnifying glass, so this way I can see a little bit better. Alright, so this one, I'm going to do it without the little white dot, and then I'll see if I can show you guys how to do it without the white dot. Alright, so we got our little eye decal cut again. And we take it and throw it in here. I'll let it sit. My old videos for YouTube that I did these eye decals, I might have to update it because I used to do the whole smooth eye and I used to do all... I don't do that anymore now. Literally I just use regular paint and then I just do what I just did and that's it. I think what it was in the beginning, I was adding too many layers of paint onto it. But I think now it's kind of, I got it down to a point. Alright, so hopefully I'm explaining this okay. Just trying to give you my experience with these things. And the other thing too is eye sockets. Stay away from pure white. You could do a little bit of grayish white, a little off-white, so this way they're not glowing at you. So that always helps too to make the eyes a little bit better. Because these eyes are semi-transparent too. Alright, so let's make sure the brush doesn't have any tacky paint on it. This is a little bit ready. Some eye decals I've noticed work, they come off real fast with water, and some of the other ones take a little bit longer. So I don't know if it's just different papers they get or how long it takes, or I'm not really sure. Alright, so that one came off pretty well. Once again, nice and light with the tool. So the goal is, you know, I mean, if you guys have studied eyes, so if your eye, if this is your eye, right? You know, your eye isn't like this. Your eye is, it always comes down around like that. So there's always a part underneath the top of your lid. You know, so that's kind of how your eye always is. This part is always hidden. Now, what I did with her though, sometimes with like Sideshow does it, is it all depends on the look. So this time I kind of didn't put the eye at the bottom. I kind of have a little bit of white showing underneath. So it's just, sometimes you could do that, you know. And then you can have your little white dot, and if you want you can put another little white dot in there, and then you can shade it. Yeah, so that was a mistake in the beginning when I started art school. So I was trying to make a perfect circle in the eye, and that's not how it is. Your eye is always here. So you want to try to do that with the decal. When you cut it, you want to cut off that. Even if you cut it at an angle, that might help you too. So you don't have these points sticking in the eyelid. Now sometimes if your eye is really, really small with the decals, you might have to cut it even more. And then you might have to sort of slice a little bit under there too. It's a pain in the ass, but it makes life easier. Alright, so like I said, there's no white dot on that eye. If you're... Well, we gotta do the Solvaset first. I gotta do the Solvaset, so... We do the Solvaset. Like this bottle of Solvaset I've had for like 6 years now. If you don't keep it closed, it'll evaporate on you. Alright, so I'll do this off camera another time, but if you get yourself a nice, really thin paintbrush, you know, nice little thin paintbrush, you can actually go into the eye and you can add a couple extra dots and you can darken up the dark part of the eye if you really want to. So it all depends on how you want to do it. But other than that, I think it looks good. Better than what I could do with a paintbrush, and I admit it, I'm not good with eyes with a paintbrush. It's just how I am. Some people say this is cheating with decals, but I don't think it is. If it makes it look good, then it's good. Alright, so I'm probably going to do this off camera. Once these earrings are cured, I'm going to attach them into the ears. But I'll do that off camera during the week because I'm going to have to really do it patiently. I'm going to make sure they line up. And I don't want to touch them now because I did seal them. So I don't want to mess with them that much. But I think what we could do is we could put her head up on the statue and take a look at her. See how she's looking. Let me get all this stuff out of the way. Oh yeah, one other thing too is have a clean surface with your decals. I don't put any of my decal stuff on here because this stuff will kind of bumpy and grind it. You want to have a nice... So this is kind of like my decal piece. Alright, let's get all this stuff sorted out of the way. Alright, so that's where she's at the moment. So I didn't do much with Flash because I just didn't have time. But he's going to be all right there. I have to finish painting this up. So I think what I'm going to try to do with this is I'm going to measure out these squares. And I'm going to have my friend print me out stickers. And I'm just going to put some stickers here. And I'll paint the cans. So this way it'll look, maybe I could come up with some fun stuff. So there's Flash on the base. I'm going to print out, I sent the files to my friend. I'm going to have a little park bench here, and I'm going to have a garbage can as well. So we're going to have a little park bench garbage can there. But she is looking pretty good. Pretty happy with it. So I have to do the rope here. I'll do that on the off camera someday. I'll just get that rope done. I'm gonna have to touch her up a bit. I'm gonna have to get all these flakes off. I'm probably gonna do like a little bit of a marble-ish color in here. Or maybe like a purple or something. Kind of match the lips or something. Or blue, maybe to match the eyes. Probably do the boots. I gotta do the little rings on the boots. And then it's going to be in limbo for a while. So I think next stream I'm going to try to get Wonder Woman ready. So she's pretty much limbo till I get these pieces done for the base. And then we can actually start doing the base. But Wonder Woman is pretty much ready. I just have to buff her up a little bit more. Once I buff her up a little bit more, I can, I have to figure out if I'm going to start I think I'm going to do the skin tone first. And then what I'll do is, I'll try to clean up the armor up here. Or what I might do is, yeah, it's kind of hard to, well, I think I could get away. I want the armor to look dirty anyway. So I'm not going to really try to gloss coat the armor and try to make it all outclad, super smooth. We're going to try to make the armor kind of dirty with that, I'm going to get a bottle of that AK Interactive gunmetal. So she's going to be a very dirty metal, and I'll show you what kind of metal I'm going for in a second. So I think maybe, if all goes well, Friday, maybe we'll try to start doing her skin tone. It's going to be a long journey on the skin tone. So I'll see if I could prep her before then. But so I'm also doing a video on this original character, but I wanted to show you what I'm going to do with the armor. So I want the armor to look like this. It's not going to be perfectly, it's like more of a gunmetal steel. So that's kind of what I'm doing with Wonder Woman. We'll do something like this. And then I'm also working on this water base for her, and I'm doing a video on this. So this is almost done, but I'll get a video up on how I came up with the water and how I'm going to do splashes and stuff. So this is coming along pretty well. Yeah, so Wonder Woman's armor is going to kind of look like that. So more of a steel. But that's where we're at so far. So I think we're cutting the stream there because I don't have much else to do, and I got to prep up some more stuff for tomorrow. But hopefully next week we'll start working on her skin tone, and she's gonna be on the back burner, but we'll see how that goes. No, I can't remove the tentacles because I want to do splash effects on them now. So they're attached to the base. But that's, it'll look better that way. You'll see when I'm done. I'm probably going to do a little bit of work on it tomorrow, but I got to get some other stuff done tomorrow. But I want to try to get that original character done next week for the client. But yeah, I'll have a video up on how I did the whole process once I finish it. But I'm going to do touch-ups on her. She's going to be probably done in a week. But we have to work on the base for Giganta. And next week we're going to try to start working on her skin, and we're going to really make her look pretty cool. So, alright guys, I'm calling it for tonight. Thanks for stopping by. Appreciate it. Hopefully I helped you guys out with some of the eye decals. Check out Archer Fine Transfer Details. You know, maybe you can start using them too, make your life easier. But yeah, with that being said, have a good weekend, guys.